to Emotional Support Water Bottle with Hannah and Ailish. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Ailish. Well, the Oscar noms were announced today.
No, and I'm happy for Miss Demi Moore. And we got Best Director too.
I know we definitely got some good ones. The Substance, I will say, I stumbled across some of. Well, I know that you didn't watch it, and I didn't watch Amelia Press the whole way either, but stumbled across some of our people on TikTok finally that are saying this movie.
What is going on?
Yes, and they're like 13 nominations. They're like, that's more than this, like all these classic, unbelievable movies. They're like, it doesn't make sense.
I know it almost seems like there's some kind of like incentive to have this movie be nominated so much. I guess I am gonna watch it at some point and see what I think of it, but
And then the one girl was the one that I had found originally. She was saying like, I mean, she really liked Wicked, but she also liked The Substance and Challengers and like all these other movies. And she's like, just what we were saying, like just because a movie is different doesn't mean that it's just automatically good. And even if a movie is good, I don't think that means that it automatically deserves all these Oscar noms either.
I know. I was actually pretty surprised by Wicked getting so many nominations because even though I loved it, I don't know. Is that an Oscar movie? Sometimes because we always get all those like super serious movies,
Mhm.
and this one, you know, isn't. It's like a big, fun, colorful production. Those don't typically get those types of nominations.
I know that's how I felt when people were talking about challengers, because
Hmm.
like I did see that and I did really like it, but I don't know if it deserved an Oscar nomination for Best Picture. Like a lot of people are saying it was snubbed for Best Score, which like I agree because the music in that was like unbelievable how it made you feel. But I just don't know if it feels like an Oscar winning feature film.
I know, because it's like Oscar movies, they always feel like they have a certain tone to them.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like those fit the tone, I guess. I don't
And
know.
maybe that's like a us thing that like the tone needs to change in our minds. But I would argue that I feel like the substance should be there. You know what I
I
mean?
know,
Like
that fits the tone, and even when we were
really,
first talking about, um, oh, A Complete Unknown, we were like, we already think that's gonna be nominated for the Oscars because
totally,
it's like a predictable Oscar movie, like Oscar
totally.
bait movie.
And like Conclave too, like that more
Right.
serious. Yeah, like totally. What else was I thought I was a little surprised to see Dune on there just
I know,
because
see, some of those, like, epic movies
yeah.
throw me off when they're nominated, like, I guess I'm not that surprised, but I was a little bit surprised because, but I think Dune Part 1 was nominated and stuff too, wasn't it?
I think so. And
I
I
guess that
think
makes sense.
yeah, I think that visually that movie is really strong. I didn't see either of them. Did you see part 1?
No, I didn't, but I do wanna watch them since they're on Netflix and the first one is leaving soon.
Yeah, I do. Well, the first one was where we were all it was like the bait and switch where
Yeah.
they were like Zendaya and Timothy Chalamet, and then like
No
Zendaya wasn't
Zendaya.
in it.
I know.
But I mean, yeah, I think that like all the other best picture ones made sense. I didn't know what I'm Still Here was. What was that movie? Do you
I didn't
know?
know that one either. Mm-mm.
No, I didn't know that. Yeah, I guess like the other ones didn't surprise me. Did you feel surprised by any of the other nominations?
Not really. I was all right, I'm still here.
I was surprised.
Eunice I was just gonna read what I'm still here. Eunice Pavia begins a lonely battle to learn the truth behind the disappearance of her husband, former PTB Deputy Rubens Pavia, while trying to keep her family together. Oh, is that based off a true story?
I've never heard of that this whole time.
Oh, well, it actually sounds really good.
Well, clearly
Streaming
they
HBO Max.
they didn't do a big promo for that because they
Oh,
didn't do an
apparently.
Oscar
I know.
push.
So I
They
wonder if
still
that,
got
yeah, I wonder if that's based off a true story then, or if that's
Well, if it was, it would make sense why, because that's an
it's
Oscar
happening. They
thing.
love them.
Yeah,
They love a good biopic.
I know. I was looking to see what some people thought were snubs, and I guess like I get so thrown off when like a movie is maybe on a limited release, but then when it goes to a full theatrical release, like because with like Baby Girl and like The Last Showgirl, like those felt like really late to me, but they came in kind of at the tail end of the nomination time, right?
That's what was my understanding of it. Yeah. I know I saw that people were upset about those snubs.
Yeah.
But but then it also seemed yeah, like there wasn't enough time and also there wasn't a lot of buzz around or not as much buzz around them as you'd expect.
Well, and there was more buzz around Baby Girl, but it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily for like Oscar. It was like,
Right, it was
oh,
like
this is a
TikTok stuff.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
was like, this is a like sexy movie with Nicole Kidman. Like it wasn't like the
Like maybe it was
acting is
marketed wrong.
unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know. And like I think I said this on the podcast a couple episodes ago, where like I literally just heard about The Last Showgirl a couple weeks ago. Like I didn't even know that that was out or anything.
No, I had heard about it, but I didn't even know when it was coming out, or it almost seemed like it had or it felt like it had come out already, but it just wasn't accessible to us.
Yeah, like it must have just had a very limited release because
Mhm.
I never and then that movie that Angelina Jolie is in about that
Oh,
opera
yeah,
singer, I heard again, like,
Maria.
yeah, didn't really hear a ton about that just besides seeing some press that she did. But like,
Mhm.
was that a limited release?
I know. Well, and it's like then these movies are coming to streaming quickly, but it's like after award season or after the
Yeah.
time where you would have wanted to watch it.
Yeah, because I think I was just looking that up about Baby Girl and it said that that's coming to like Apple TV and probably Prime and stuff, but for rent and own on like at the end of the month. But I think I might rent that one because I really do want to see that.
I know, right?
And it's like just to see from the comfort of my own home, so I don't have to like go to the theater by
Weird.
myself.
Yeah.
But what else? Oh well, I did end up seeing um A Real Pain. Snapped you about that the other night. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really good and it was so layered.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to see that he was nominated for best screenplay or
Me
original
too.
screenplay.
And he was, wasn't he wasn't Kieran Culkin nominated for supporting actor too?
He was. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it just got those 2 nominations.
yeah. I feel like that one should have been up for Best Picture.
I know, I was so disappointed when I saw that it wasn't, but then I'm like, "At least I got the screenplay one because I liked that he got that."
Yeah. I felt like Kieran and Jesse Eisenberg were basically like themselves in this
I know,
movie.
I also felt that way.
But
They were so
I loved the story. Like I really thought that um it made you like think about things in a different way. It made you even just like how the two characters were so drastically different,
Mhm.
but like, it's that kind of like classic like family dynamic or friendship dynamic where you both like want or need something that the other person has, you know?
I know, I loved it. I thought it was so layered with that type of thing, like, just seeing wanting to be like the other person more, and then also just, like, dealing with difficult family members or even, like, friends or difficult relationships where you just get so frustrated with them, but you love them.
I know.
It's like, because even with, I think Benji was Kieran Culkin's character, and then
Yeah.
David was Jesse Eisenberg's
Yeah.
or David,
Dave, yeah, something like that.
but then, like, anyway, but it was just, like, that type of person too, because I've definitely related more to David versus, Benji, but it's, like, those type of people, I mean, we even talk about them sometimes too, where we're like, those type of people that just light up the room.
Yeah.
You can't figure it out, they feel like they have almost no direction, and yet they're always just doing well. But then I also felt that it was kinda cool too to see, like, how his character or Benji was so lost, like, in
Yeah.
the world, and I think that was, like, almost separate from his personality too, and just, like,
Yeah.
showing that type of character.
The like final rooftop scene that they had where it was kind of like the Dave's, hopefully his name really was Dave because we just keep saying that.
If I'm real maybe I should look it up.
I know. But he kind of confronts Benji about like his behaviors and like, yeah, David. And just how like, he had Benji had an attempt on his life and like David couldn't come to terms with that or understand that. And like you just like I don't even think that Kieran Culkin like said much
No, he
once Jesse
just kinda
Eisenberg.
looked away and, like,
Yes,
started tearing up. Like, the the writing was so good,
so
and I don't
good.
know. It was in that scene at the table with that tourist group, and
Yes.
when he gets up, I was I forgot I was watching a movie, like, that was actually blew me away that in
Yeah.
the Jesse Eisenberg's mannerisms where he's almost, like, shaking, like,
Mhm.
just so frustrated with his cousin, and it was just and then when they were all like, "Oh, he's so troubled." It was like they
I
all
know.
knew that he was, like, this person that was struggling, but they still, like, loved him, and they all hugged him at the end, and
I
then they're just like,
know.
"Bye, Dave," like, or
Yeah, like
David.
just so like the stark contrast. I mean, but then again, like you said, the layers of it, another contrast was at the end when like the very end when David like went home to his family and he's like, "Hey, Benji, like come over for dinner and then I'll drive you back." And he's like, "No, like I'm just going to hang out here." And he's like alone at the
I just,
airport.
like, I know, like, just sitting there like, "What's life gonna bring me next?" And it was
Yeah,
almost like he was okay. What do you think? Do you think Benji changes or not? Like, do you think that tour really affected him? Because I
um,
almost lean towards like, he wants it to, but I don't know if it ever does. Like, I feel like he just stays that way the rest of his life, but I
yeah.
hope.
Yeah, like, I think that it emotionally affected him, but not in the way that, like, maybe it should have. Like, he's definitely, like he came
In the
face to
moment,
face
yeah.
with, like, the pain and stuff, but I don't know if it would, like, rock his life, you know?
Right, like, if it's not happening right there in front of him, then
Yeah,
it's kinda like, "Zoop." And the part too where they were even the parts where they were at, like, the Holocaust areas and stuff, and just, like, that part of the movie and just, like, thinking about, like, your own heritage and how it affects you and how it
yeah,
affects your family members, just that whole extra part, it was almost like a side aspect to the movie, but
mhm.
it was so cool too, just to, like,
I know.
it's so good.
Well, when we were kind of like talking about how we would love to do a tour like
Yes.
that, and like I've always like been interested in kind of like that age of history and stuff. But then it made me think how like when I did an internship in New York, like the first time I was there, it was like way past 9/11, but they had just finished like the fountain, the memorial fountains. And then another time I was there, they had just finished the museum. And so I went into the museum and it was obviously like so emotional and like really beautifully done and a beautiful testament to like just this horrible moment in history. But I remember like walking through that and just looking around at the people and like the tourists that were around me and I'm just like this happened to us. Like this is our history and then there's these people that are here from who knows where else and they're just like walking through and it's a tourist attraction and it felt really weird and then seeing like thinking about all the Holocaust remembrance stuff, I'm like would people feel that way about like us tourists coming over? But then at the same time, if you don't do things like that, then people will forget these parts of history and like it is important to keep those stories alive and stuff like that. But like it really like when you really think about it and think about like where you are walking, like it does shake you. Like if we went on that tour in like Poland, I think that we would be emotional wrecks.
I know, even just watching it in the movie, it was very sobering and, like, the way they filmed it with, like, no music basically and just, like, having these lingering shots.
Yeah.
I mean, you could it almost felt like you were there, like, the way it was filmed and the way the tour guide that was taking them around was like, "I'm not really gonna say much, it just really speaks for itself," and we just kinda got to, like,
See it.
experience that with these characters, which was kind of awesome. Like, I don't know, that was such a cool touch.
I know, I agree. Yeah, I loved the movie. I thought it was so well done from start to finish and that was something that was like different in a way that just felt real. Like it didn't have to go like totally off the wall to feel like fresh. It just felt
Mhm.
very vulnerable and very like true to life, honestly.
I know, like, it was like a small movie, but it just felt bigger than that, and even just, like, the small cast that we had and how important all those characters like, everything just flowed so well and was so
Yeah.
thought out, and I was just so impressed.
I
It
and I
just blew me
yeah.
away.
Yeah, and I think that like it kind of speaks to the fact too that sometimes you don't need to have these like hidden
Wickeds.
themes and
Yeah.
all these things, like it can literally be a movie that is just very transparent and like just people talking about real experiences, and it can still be very powerful and interesting to watch.
I know, like, I laughed
Yeah.
too, like, it was very entertaining, and it just felt so real, and loved it.
It was it was also like emotionally so up and down.
I know, it would be like, cause even sometimes I'd be like, "It's kinda lagging for a second," and then it just flip you again, and then it
I
flip
know.
you again, then it flip you like, even when they were done, you had this super sobering moment with the Holocaust thing, and then they get back on the bus, and Benji's the only one, like, visibly crying and, like, so upset, and then he just, like, freaks out,
I know.
and is like, "Why are we on first class right now?" And, like, this over the top thing, like, it was just so good.
I know.
Or
Yeah.
even in that whole, scene too where they're all sitting around at the, restaurant, and then they're having this whole thing about him, and it's, like, this super awesome scene, and then you hear the piano going again, and they all turn around, and it's him playing the piano. Like, it was just so good.
I know, and the fact that, David didn't even know, he's like, "Oh, the music started up again," and they're like, "It's him."
It's literally it was just too good.
Like, the timing of it was just
I know, like, it was
perfect.
so good, and it was a short movie too, which I
Yeah,
kinda liked because I feel like a lot of the ones I've been watching recently that are still really good have just been these really long,
yeah,
thick movies, and it was kinda nice just to have, like, this short, simple well, it wasn't that simple, just an easy story, they're on a tour, they get off
yeah.
the tour, and all this stuff happens.
You can watch it, like, on a random night and not have to be up until, like, 2 o'clock in the morning, like, it didn't, like, drain you. Yeah, yeah, I loved it. I think that, when you mentioned about the writing too, like, I am glad that it was nominated for the screenplay because I can't even fathom, like, writing something like that.
I know, I kept thinking, I'm like, "Did he go through this? Like, did he write this about an other family member?" And I thought it was cool too that like, sometimes I think it's interesting when they write themselves into stories,
Yeah,
kinda, but I'm like, "Does he gone through this with, like, something" like, he coulda gave himself the Benji part and, like, really challenged himself, but instead he chose to take that more side character, even though technically Benji was the side character,
yeah.
and I just find that really interesting too.
I Yeah, I was just very impressed. Sorry, my computer's like acting like I have it on fire. I'm trying to like the fan is being so loud. I'm trying to
Oh,
like
I can't hear it on this end, but
okay,
who
good. I'm
knows?
trying to keep it cooled down over here. Um, but yeah, I think that that would have I mean, not I think, it totally would have changed the whole tone of the movie if the characters were flipped, like if the actors
Mhm.
played opposite. Because I can't even imagine like Jesse Eisenberg,
I
you
know,
know.
as that character.
Yeah, I can't either. So, but no, I loved
I
it.
I know, I think I gave it 4.5 stars, but it probably coulda got 5.
If
But I
anybody,
did watch his I believe his first writing directorial debut, which was When You're Finished Saving the World.
okay,
That one felt like something I would expect Jesse Eisenberg to
right,
write. Like, it just had that whole so this was a huge improvement, like, oh my gosh, but that it was a simple story again, kind of, where it was about a mom and a son played by Finn Wolford and Julianne Moore, and then Alicia Bowe was in it too from 13 Reasons Why.
mm-hmm.
But it was kinda like exploring that dynamic of the mother-son, like, strained relationship, but like, the concept was really good, but it just It was not this movie.
Mm.
But, and there was a lot of Finn Wolfhard singing in it, which I didn't enjoy very
Oh,
much. Like, it was part of his character, like, it made sense, but
it wasn't like it was
this
a
was just
musical
yeah, this was just a huge step up, this A Real Pain, and this made me excited to
for him.
see,
What
yeah, more
when
of
was
his
that
stuff.
released?
I not that long that movie was on Netflix, and then I never ended up watching it, and then I saw it pop up on Prime, and I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna watch that since I just watched A Real Pain." But I don't it wasn't very long ago.
Okay.
2022.
Oh, hadn't even heard of that movie.
I know, like I said, if it wouldn't have been on Netflix, then I wouldn't have really heard of it, but
I guess there's a
then it went
reason
off,
it didn't
so
get a lot of critical
I
acclaim.
know, right? Like it had the same tone, kind of A Real Pain, but A Real Pain was just such a better story, such better
Yeah,
writing, such better pacing, and I'm excited to see him do some more stuff,
yeah.
honestly.
I thought that he and Kieran Culkin had really good chemistry too. Like I would watch them in another movie together.
I know, I'd love to see it, and I love that he did the close cousin relationship, like,
Yes,
being 3 weeks apart versus, like, the easy, "Let's do the
brother.
brother thing,"
Yeah, because a
which I
cousin
thought was fun.
relationship can almost be so much more complicated, you know?
I know, because it's like you have the same DNA, but you're not siblings, but your
Yeah,
parents are, and it's like a whole interesting dynamic, and there are a lot of times where you are just like a month or 2,
apart.
age difference between you and your cousin, and it's just or there could be a couple of you that are all the same age, and you're
Yeah,
all kinda, like, going through stuff that is a interesting, complicated relationship, and I thought that was a kind of a cool thing to do.
yeah, I liked that. Just kind of speaking of the all the nominations and stuff, I watched the actress roundtable with like a bunch of the actresses that ended up being is somehow within the Oscar nomination. So there was Angelina Jolie, Tilda Swinton, Zoe Saldana, Zendaya, Demi Moore, and then Mikey Madison. And um, I felt that I think mm, I don't think I'm missing somebody, but I might be. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, I felt like Mikey Madison, like I know that she's been in some other things, but I think that like being in Anora
Scream!
and being in Anora's like her big like role and the like serious breakout role, right? Like I would obviously she hasn't been nominated for awards in the past. I don't think so. But I really like felt for her because being at this table with such like powerhouse women,
Legends.
yeah, and even Zendaya, like while she's younger, obviously, like she's obviously
She's
had
been in the
a
biz
long
for so
career.
long.
Yeah, and she really like didn't like talk much, and like I just kind of felt bad for her because I didn't know if she felt like she didn't have much to add to the conversation or if she just
She wasn't allowed, kind of.
yeah, or if like maybe she just felt more comfortable sitting back and like listening. But other than like me feeling bad for her in that way, like I really enjoyed the interview or the discussion, I guess. But it also made me think of just how, there's some of those actors where they're like, I'm not going to talk about, how deep it is for me to get into these characters. Like, I'm just acting, like, it's not really that big of a deal. And then like this actress roundtable was the complete other side of the spectrum where, they're so into it, which I think is very valuable and like great, but it sometimes it can be a little much.
Yeah, like a little bit pretentious. I know I kind of like go back and forth with that because when I hear so many, like I think Jennifer Lawrence has made a comment like, no, I just go home and I don't think about the character anymore.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, well, that doesn't feel like you're like loving it. You're just, love the benefits. But then when they get too pompous, like you get, okay, you're not like solving cancer or
I
anything. You're
know.
just like, but I know like when like Timothy Chalamet when he was on Theo Von's podcast, he kind of kept making like comments about that. He's like, sorry, I don't mean to sound like, too into it or whatever. But then it was fun to hear him get into it. But I also think maybe too when it's like a man is talking about his roles and what he has to do and and men just typically get the deeper roles. So, most of the time.
Mhm.
I don't think it's as weird, but then it's like when a woman is like, "Well, I had to go into my own motherhood journey
Yeah.
and then put it out there," and then or if they, like, are playing a mother and they're not a mother, then all of a sudden we're like, "You don't know, you shouldn't have got
Yeah.
that role," and
Right.
stuff, and it's like we're so much harder on them when they're, like, trying to get into these roles.
I know. Like Angelina Jolie, which I mean, she just looked absolutely stunning. And I actually like because we haven't heard or seen a ton of
No, we
her.
really haven't.
Yeah, it's like seeing her out and about and then doing something like this was really almost shocking. And
I
like
know,
she
and to, like,
even
actually
said,
hear that she has, like, a personality and, like,
yes,
thoughts and feelings because I do think we really stepped away from hearing from these, like, movie stars anymore where they're, like, sitting down and giving us these deep interviews because they just shut down, like, we don't get to know anything about these people anymore.
I know, and especially since we know that there's been some legal drama that she's been going through. So, I mean, it really is that seems like she's completely just gone out of the spotlight for like years. But, she was saying how playing this opera singer really helped her to find her voice and like, which I do think that that would be like, I do think that playing some of these roles, especially like a real person, and especially if they're like a woman in history or like a important man in history, like that really would probably affect you in certain ways. But like,
Mhm.
her saying like, I felt like I found my voice like literally because I was told in the past that like I couldn't sing, like I wasn't a good singer, and then I found that I could sing opera, and like I found my voice kind of metaphorically with like, finding myself as a woman again, and after all the stuff that she's been through, which she didn't like detail that or anything. But then she was also funny because Demi Moore is over there talking about the substance, and which I'll get to a point about that in a second. But she was talking about the makeup that she had to do when she was the old woman version, and how she had to spend like up to 9 hours in the makeup chair. And Angelina was sitting next to Zoe Saldana, and she was like, "No, no, absolutely not." Like she was so just like, girl, I would never, ever in a million years do that. And like we've never seen that side of Angelina before.
Right.
It was just kind of like funny. And then the other ladies were like, oh wow. And Angie's just like, hell no, like I would never do that. But while Demi did have some insightful things to say, we still cannot break down the wall that the substance also affects her in a deeper, more personal level because she did alter her face and maybe body, I don't know. But like she won't go there. She still will not go there.
Our unself-aware queen.
It's crazy. Like it
It
really
it
is
is
crazy.
it's very troubling though, like, and I feel like now is the time more than ever to be able to talk about that type of stuff, and I know there's, like, this ingrained way of thinking from, like, the generation of Hollywood that she grew up in, but it just feels like, what do you have to lose? Like, give us the truth
I
or what you're
know.
really feeling. What did you feel when you again, I think I said this before, but when you were the monster up on the stage at that
Yeah.
fashion show and how everyone was talking about you, and it just is so frustrating.
It's mind blowing. And they even, I mean, we got as close to the edge as we possibly could, where they were talking about like the pressures put on women and how like we like commit versions of like self-harm to ourselves without even, touching ourselves. Like they talked about the scene when she was like getting ready to go on that date and how she like just kept second guessing and working herself up and then she never went, and how it's just like we put ourselves down that we're not good enough, all this stuff. And they're talking about like the pressures of women to change themselves, the whole like theme
Mm.
behind the substance.
Yeah,
And she still won't say, I can fully relate to that because I did succumb to the pressures. Like, why
right.
can't, like, is she contractually obligated to not say something? Because it's very obvious that she had work done.
I know. Well, based on her book, I think she cannot come to terms with this is just a personality trait in my opinion. But it
I
is
need to read her
frustrating to
book.
see. I know, especially because that movie is just so impactful.
I
And
know.
for her to, like, the star who blew us away to not be able to give us that honesty is frustrating.
I know. And even now, when, like, whether she got different work done to fix what she had done before or if things just kind of settled in, I don't know. Like she does look really good now. Like
I
nobody
know she
is
does.
saying how she doesn't look good. But like also you don't know many women her age that look like that from natural
Right,
aging. You know what I mean? So like
right.
why can't we just bust down the wall and say, yeah, I did I would take the substance
Right.
if it was
I
available.
did take the substance, like,
Like,
I
it's
know.
just weird. But, as a whole, I did think that that actress roundtable was interesting, and I don't remember if, we talked about it on the podcast, but I think, like, while it's only us 2 in our little book club, like the thing that I think both of us really like about that is just, and just about our podcast in general, is that we're like 2 women that can come together and talk about things. And then when we read like a book or watch a movie, we can discuss it and how did it relate to our life and stuff like that. And when I was in Michigan with my family over the summer, like we had a book club with a book, and it was just like a bunch of people from my family and stuff. But it was so nice to just sit with another group of women and just talk about something that we all had in common because we all read this book. And that's really what like this actress roundtable felt like. And they even said it themselves, like, we don't really get a lot of opportunities to do this. And it feels good to just be able to sit and chat. And I enjoyed it.
I know it is nice to, like, be able to sit in community and talk to different people who, not even just like-mindedness, but just to have, like, conversation because 'cause we're so plugged into our phones, and I think even it seems like even with Gen Z and everything, everybody's just so lonely right now, like, we've really lost, like, the community. We don't do Tupperware parties anymore.
I
Like,
know.
we just I don't know.
But it's just like, I think it's something that has always kind of frustrated us a little bit because we've felt like a lot of people around us don't share the same interests as us.
I know.
And like,
Well, it oh, sorry.
oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say, and then when we find people that we can discuss that with, like it just feels really good.
It does. I know, and it
Mm.
it it can be, and it's not even, like, just conversation about interest, but I find it even hard to get people to, like, conversate without just small talk. Like, I feel like it's just kinda like a lost art. That's why it is nice too when you are listening to these podcasts, it's like, I wanna be a part of the conversation.
I
I'm like,
know.
"Where do you find these people that can talk for 2 hours about one movie?" Like
It's us. But we don't have anyone else in our group.
I know. But I know, it's just which yeah, and it's fine. I guess we just it's fine just to talk to each other about it, but it's just feels like it's hard to find people to
I
talk
know.
to.
I know. And like a lot of times we do share many same opinions or similar thoughts about things. So like when we can bring other people into the fold of our conversation, it's nice to have like a differing idea about the same thing, like we all watched the same
Mhm.
movie, but we got different things from it, or like, oh my God, I didn't think of it that way, like it's nice to just get other perspectives.
It is.
My at the bar studio that I go to, they had started a book club. I don't remember if it was before, I think it was before the holidays. And I've been like, I don't even know like how I guess you just show up, you read the book, show up. But I've been toying with like going to it, even though sometimes it's hard to like read the physical book and then it can be hard to get the audio, but you know how it goes. But I think that like it would just be kind of nice to like have that and meet new people and,
Mhm.
just something different, a different type of social activity because we don't have many of those around. Like, I don't know of any other book clubs around where I live.
No, and I've looked for them.
Really? You've looked?
Mhm.
I'm
And then
surprised they
some of
don't have
them,
them
it's,
in
like, through the library usually. What was that?
I was just gonna say I'm surprised they don't have more through the library.
I know, but, um, I watched the original Nosferatu,
Oh,
the
you did?
1920 or 1922 version. It's
So
on Prime,
is it the
but
same story?
I was surprised at how much the 2024 version followed the story, and they go more into like, they bring the, side characters into it more in the 2024 one, and then they have Ellen be more of a, like, front runner where she's there and important in this 1922 one, but not in the way the 2024 one was, and then it's, like, a little less because obviously it's 1922, it was
Yeah,
less sexual, but it did, like, talk about, like, the desire and, like, him yearning for her and wanting her.
interesting. That's
The only
crazy.
thing
Over a
I
hundred
know.
years?
Well, and it was a silent film, and it was originally in black and white, but this version, they had the colorized version, which I was kinda disappointed because I wanted to see it, like, in the full black and white, but even the way they did it, it wasn't like watching The Wizard of Oz or something, it was
Yeah,
still, like, that grainy, little bit of color, but then they still kind of did the like darkness kind of. Um, but I don't know, because that's the version that you see like in SpongeBob, even the Nosferatu guy. And I really did like the original version of him a lot more, just look wise. And I think the new one, I get why he did like the mustache, because like a count would that would have been more historically accurate, blah blah blah. But it was just you have Bill Skarsgård looking so just him and himself is such a cool looking person. I just wish we would have did more with the original design. But, whatever. I really did like the original one.
I'm looking up the version, 2024 mustache version.
Yeah, I just didn't I just think the original one is so cool looking. Like it just
Yeah.
looks so cool.
Well, cuz he's very like otherworldly. Like he really just looked like a creature. Like I don't know, that's exactly what I
Yes.
picture when I think like
It's
Nosferatu.
like this gorgeous. I know, just this creature, human,
Yeah.
vampire hybrid thing. Like it just worked. And he was genuine. Like, obviously, it's not scary now, but I mean, he was creepy. I mean, he looked creepy on screen and I loved it. But of course, yeah, the Bill Skarsgård version was still awesome with like the voice and everything, and the sound with it all was just so cool in the new one. Like I just like the way his voice rattles up through your
Mhm.
body. It was
Yeah.
cool, but I am still, because then I was listening to like Too Scary Didn't Watch their recap of Nosferatu, and then I was listening to I think it was The Next Big Picture. Yeah, they did an episode on it too, and I thought it's really interesting how, and I know it was kind of presented to us that way too, that they feel like she was desiring him and like, but I really took it completely different. Like I just felt like she had lost her like sexual autonomy of her body, and that he had taken her as a young child and like wouldn't leave her alone and like would possess her and like torture her versus her wanting to be tortured by him. I don't know, that was just, like, the whole vibe that I got from the movie, and I guess I'm haven't quite found anybody else
Well,
feeling that way.
you said that when you first talked about it. Like
Yeah, and with the more I'm listening to other people, I'm like, I know, and I know, like, Lily Rose Depp has talked about that's kinda what it is too, but what I saw was her not wanting it and not wanting to be with him and then having to be forced to be with him to, like, save the whole freaking world.
yeah. Well, I might have to rent a few movies this weekend because I
I
think
know.
it
I
says
mean, I
that it's going to be on Apple TV too. The thing that's dumb is about like the renting thing is that
I know.
if I went to the movie theater, I'd be paying like triple the amount that it is to rent it. But because I'm sitting at home and I already pay for the streaming service, I'm
I know,
like,
it's
gosh
irritating.
darn it.
Uh, and that's what's tricky too, because I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like, it's so annoying because like the movies I'm watching now are like 2024 releases, and I'm like, wow, this is my favorite of the year. And I'm like, oh, it's 2025 right now.
I
Like, is
know.
it still my favorite of the year? If I would, it's like we don't get to watch it when the hype is happening, but you get to watch it later on, and it's kinda like, like, you have to, like, wrestle with yourself, like, "Can I wait for it?"
I
Because
know.
some of them are really just, like, coming on just like Netflix, Hulu, it's like they're just
Yeah.
popping up on the general streaming things, and, like, even A Real Pain, I'm like, we
Mhm.
wanted to see that before, and then we didn't hear anything about it, and then, "Oh, it's on Hulu,"
I
and it's
know.
like we miss the whole conversation around these movies until just now, and I'm like, had I made my, like, top movies of 2024 and actually saw them in 2024, like, that one would have been on it, just some
Totally.
of these movies that I didn't get to watch in 2024 or late in 2024.
Well, what really needs to happen is the podcast needs to take off. We need to get scent screeners. I mean,
I know.
that is it.
Well, because some of these podcasts too, they're like, I got invited to an early screening at one of the theaters, and you get to see them like months in advance, and then they're like, yeah, and then I went into theaters and watched it
Yeah.
again, so I could like talk about it. I'm like,
It's like fly
that's
us
so.
out. It's not
I
that
know,
far to New York. You can fly us there if you want the budget to fly us out to, an LA or Paris
I
release.
know.
That's fine.
And even one of my YouTubers, Cody Leach, she'll like talk about how he just gets invited. Like he was talking about all the scary movies because he does scary movies that he watched over 2024, and he was going on. I'm like, I've never even heard of these, and he's talking about how he got invited to go see this one and that one and this one, and he's like talking about these movies that sound good, but we don't get to see them because it was like such a limited thing, and maybe
Yeah.
it'll eventually come on to streaming or something. But some of them weren't.
Where does
I'm
he
like,
live?
I don't know. I'm
Mm.
assuming he must live in California though, because he's done like red carpet interviews for
Oh,
horror
okay.
movies
Yeah.
before.
And to just have the access to stuff like that.
Yeah, and to like get there and stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be really freaking awesome if we could go to premieres or early screenings. But
I
if they
know.
don't want to do that right now, then just send us the file. We won't send it to anybody else. We'll watch it and then we'll review it and we'll talk about it honestly on the pod. It'll be very
Mhm.
timely.
I know.
It's an open invitation.
For crying out loud, I'm
Maybe
sick of.
Maybe if like one person did that, like one company did that for, an upcoming movie, then it would help us to gain more traction, more followings, and then we
Mhm.
could become like a full on movie review podcast.
I know, right?
We
It's
just
so
don't have the
annoying.
means right now.
You know? God. I guess I'll just have to be jealous.
I know, right? Waiting.
Another
So
movie I had been like waiting to see was Blink Twice.
is it on Prime?
Actually, what did I watch that on? It might not have been that. Stand by.
I would assume Prime, but I just
It might
assume
not.
that out of
Oh, it might
spite.
have been that actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, because I seen it pop up, I was like, gotta watch this. Hold on a second. Yes, it was Prime.
Okay, how was
Um,
it?
I was a bit underwhelmed with the I think it was a pacing thing. But I am excited. I think it made me excited too to see more from Zoe Kravitz. Like it was interesting to have this type of movie from like a female perspective, and it wasn't just like a revenge movie in my opinion. Like it was kind of, I don't, because it's like we didn't have to have like the revenge torture scenes or anything. Like I feel like she went a different direction with it, but I liked it. I just was really underwhelmed, and I think had the pacing, like the beginning, like the whole setup for the story and like I guess maybe the world building took too long in my
Hmm,
opinion.
that's unfortunate.
I know. I mean, it wasn't bad. Like I said, it made me excited to see more from her, and, like, Channing Tatum was good in there. Unfortunately, they are broken up
I
now,
know,
but
did it make you a little sad?
it did. I was like, "Oh." And then I was just thinking what it would be like to, like, direct your significant other, and, like, what if they got in, like, a little tiff in front of the rest of the casting
Or what if
crew?
they weren't good?
I know, or like, "You're not nailing this, sweetie." Or, like, did she, like, write it with him in
Yeah,
mind? Or did it kinda be like, "Well, I'm just gonna use you because 'cause you'll do it and listen
yeah,
to me."
you're available. I can pay you a little bit less.
Yes.
Yeah, was it one of those ones where you thought that the trailer was, like, better than made
I
it
don't
seem
remember the
better?
trailer for this. But I guess I no,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it had like the twists and stuff, but I also feel like the twists were alluded too much, just like in press and everything, that it kind of took away from it a little bit.
Well, maybe I'll see it in, like, a couple years when it gets thrown on
I know
Hulu or
it
something.
wasn't bad,
Yeah.
but just like I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed, I guess. But I think maybe I just hyped it up too much.
Yeah.
And that was on me, I guess.
Well, it just seemed, like, different,
I know it was
you know?
definitely different, but yeah, if it would have gotten into more of the action sooner, I think because I kind of kept like checking the like what was left because I was watching it on my phone when my because I was sick and
Well, that's
couldn't
never a
wait
good
till
sign when you keep
I know, and
seeing.
I'm like, when are we gonna get to like the you know
Yeah.
twists?
The only time when I do that, and it's not because I'm not interested in the movie, is if I wanna see, like, because 'cause I'm so tired and I'm like, "How much time is left? Like, can I
I
make
know,
it?"
can I make it?
Yeah.
I
And then if
know.
it's, like, 15 minutes or less, I'm like, "Okay, I can do it. I can do
I know.
it."
I did one of the things I noticed too, which I just kind of love watching a movie and getting to see like people's real faces, like their crow's feet, or like just even because you could tell where they were filmed. Because I think they filmed it. This when I was listening to Haley Joel Osment interview. I think he said
Ooh.
they were just in Mexico,
Yeah.
but you could just like see the humidity, and it was just I don't know. I just like it feels so much more.
Yeah, I like when I can see some pores.
Yes, and I don't mind a stylized movie, like an infinity pool, or I can't think of anything else where it's like it is cool, but I also am finding that maybe I don't enjoy those as much.
Yeah.
But this one wasn't like that. It was that very like real, people looked real thing. I don't know. It's just so refreshing to see on camera.
It is, because even I mean, people can be really beautiful without having so much of the makeup or the filter or anything like that. And it's just kind of nice to see it because we don't see a lot of it on the social media or even like
No.
on red carpets and stuff, like things are always filtered up, and like it's just kind
Mhm.
of nice when we get to see it more stripped down in
I know. It
films.
almost feels less like you're watching a movie and that you're actually watching people.
Yeah, you're in it more.
Yes. So
Yeah,
I did visually like the movie.
good. Yeah, I mean, and it looked like it was in a beautiful location. So, I mean, how
Yeah, it was cool. It was pretty. It
Mhm.
made me I was like, "Ugh, I want to get in that pool."
I know, like, just speaking of that, my coworker today was talking about how they like to go, I guess they're like members. I didn't even know that this was a thing, to two all inclusive resorts in different parts of
Mm.
Mexico. And so they can get like, a discounted rate or access to certain deals and stuff. And I'm just like, I am dying for an all inclusive. Like, I've never done that before. And it seems like heaven.
I know, just to not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Just
Have you ever done that?
I don't think so. The only thing I've done when I went to Disney, it had like the full like meal plan inclusive
Yeah.
and like the snacks throughout the day, but I don't think I've ever done like a
Like a,
that type of thing, like a
yeah. Like,
resort.
I want like a tropical vacation at an all-inclusive resort where, like, anything I want, I can just it's already paid for. I
Get
don't even have to think about it.
I know. That really is the best way to do it, I feel like. I mean, it just seems like, yeah, it's more expensive there, but like, what would you have spent on individual food and drinks and yada, yada, yada?
Really, and even, like, when she was saying with their like, she said it because they get whatever type of discount or whatever, and then she's like, "Oh, well, if, we went" like, we were just talking about if we all went together, coworkers, which we would never probably do, but, and she's like, "Well, you guys would book under me and then you would get the discount. And then sometimes if they run deals, like it could be as cheap as like, 750, per room or whatever." And I'm like, "For a week, like including everything. Like you're
Right?
joking me. Like that's insane.
I
That
know.
is insane."
Ugh,
Like
I
that
know.
just sounds amazing. Like you could be on the beach and be like, my margarita's gone. Can I have
More.
another more? Or, oh, it's gone a bit warm. Can I have a new one?
Mm, I know.
Amazing. That would be so nice. But maybe someday we can just
Well,
go
that's the thing too.
together.
I know. Well, and the hard part is too, is if you don't do it all the time, you don't know how to like shimmy the system and
Yeah,
like where's the best place to go for this or what's the best place to go for that. It's like if you don't know that from trial and error, like friends and stuff, you might end up on these horrible vacations
I
too. So it's like
know.
such a kind of a risk if you don't know what you're
I
doing.
know. Because you look it up and there's like a million all inclusive resorts. It's like,
Yes.
well, what's the
You're like,
good
how do I know which
one?
one to go to? I
Yeah.
know.
And I mean,
Or like,
they all look beautiful, but like,
are
what's
they?
actually the best? Yeah.
I know. Or like, yeah, it's like, or what's best for me? Or what do
Yeah.
I need? Or oh,
Or like, not to be like weird about it or whatever, but some of them say like adults only. It's like, is that nice because there's no kids, or is it
that's
weird?
scary. I know. Or does it get like a little like
Like adults
spooky? Yeah.
only.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing here?
Like, I don't know the vibe. And then what if you book
Right.
it and it is the other side of it and you're totally
You're
creeped
like,
out?
oops, I wish the kids were here now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
I know.
know. It's like people who go on cruises and stuff too. You hear people all the time that are like, "Oh my god, cruises are amazing," but then you have to know what type of cruises to go on because there's
Mhm.
definitely some that are better than others.
I know, and like what that's why even when we were watching a Real Pain, I'm like, it would be nice to like go on this little tour group. They take you to all the hot spots. You don't really have to think.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know. I would
but
really
then if
like
you're
that.
trapped with bad people or like
And you're
annoying people, which hopefully you wouldn't be, it'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't escape
I
these people.
know. Or like, I mean, how they left the tour early. Like, if you do that, but you still have to like pay for the full price, or can you choose what days you go? Because
Right.
it would kind of be nice to do like both, where like you could do one of those tours, but then also have time to kind of explore yourself so you're not tied down by only the tour.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I've never really like fully looked into something like that. So I don't really
Me either,
know.
because would it be fun to do one, for a short amount of time or like be on one for 3 days and then have 2 days on your
Travel.
own?
Yeah.
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 Or what? But I know, I was like, that might be kind of something to do.
Well, if anybody's listening, any company and they want to sponsor us, feel free. The last thing that I wanted to bring up was just I'm not gonna make any social media post about this. So if you're listening this far into the episode, you get this exclusive content. But I just feel that we have to just discuss again the updates for the Blake and the Justin thing because I guess
It's
I
getting
just
on a
it
it
is.
I it's out of hand. I don't even know what to think anymore. Like, not that I changing what I think, but there is so much going on every day that I'm like, I can't even look at it anymore. And what's kind of sad about the whole thing too is like they're both imploding,
I know. They really
which is
are.
it's like sad to watch. I'm like, if you, in my opinion, if Justin wouldn't have had, and again, I know Blake Lively looks bratty in a lot of her interviews, and she might be a total brat. But if he had not tried to like hire a PR team to conspire against her, I don't think she would have came out with
I don't think she would have either.
that stuff. And none of this would have, I mean, I guess we don't for sure know, but it just seems like had that all this wouldn't have kept spilling into what it is now. And it's like frightening.
Well, the thing that gets me is like she brought the original complaints to, like her manager and the production company and whatever, whoever else. And they were like, they're there, that they were filed and they had meetings about
Right.
them. Like
So
that is,
she had
yeah, like that's clearly
complaints.
legitimate. Yeah. So I
Right.
guess
And it's
I
like
don't know, like, when the newest thing was when he released like one of
video.
the takes from like their one dancing scene. It's like I'm
Mhm.
sure that they did that. I mean, I would say at least 5 times, wouldn't you?
Right.
It's like
Right.
just because you release that one clip, which think that she did seem uncomfortable in it, but like that
But I,
that one didn't exactly show what she said. That doesn't mean that what she said didn't happen. It could have been on the another clip, you know?
right. And if you're I know, if you're contractually obligated to keep filming, like you're gonna have to try to make this work somehow.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else. And to me, everything between them, like everything he's like exposed, like text messages and this dragons thing, it's like all that feels very passive aggressive. Like they do not get along. Like everything
Yeah.
he is putting out is reaffirming that those two were not getting along.
Well, and just with the dragons thing that you brought up, like to me, that was really cringy. But like I think Heather McDonald said this in one of her recent episodes. Like I think that from a lot of interviews that we've seen, and like this is an example too, I think that like Blake Lively has always thought that she's like funnier than she really is or comes
Yeah,
off. And so some of the times when she seems kind of bratty in videos or whatever, I think that she thinks she's being funny. Or like with
right,
the Khaleesi thing, it's like it's also over text, which it's so hard to decipher the
right,
real tone. And it just feels like she thinks that she's being funny and doing something there, but it really just comes off cringy. And I think for
right.
everybody to be like, oh my God, for somebody to compare themselves to Khaleesi, like, who do you think you are? Well, she's Blake Lively, okay?
I know. Well, I know, and then this is like somebody who I don't even know. It's like she probably, well, it's like she did grow up privileged and stuff, and she probably always gets what she wants, but that doesn't mean that she didn't experience things that made her uncomfortable
Yeah.
or that they clearly weren't getting along. Like, I just that doesn't mean he's not really denying some of this
No,
stuff.
he's not.
It's like
He's kind
nothing,
of
even him coming out with that video isn't damning to me, and to me, it looks like, and I didn't watch the whole whatever amount of time it was, but it's like she looked like she was annoyed with him and did not wanna be talking to him. Like, just don't and then people are like, "It's because she wanted him and he rejected her." I'm
yes,
like, "Are
I
you
heard that
people calm
too.
down?"
Like, are you joking me? I literally heard that same thing where and
No.
they're trying to bring in that, like, she and Ryan Reynolds allegedly were in a relationship when he was still married to Scarlett Johansson, and now apparently, like, Scarlett Johansson is attached to something that Justin
Yeah, I
Baldoni
heard
is gonna be doing. I'm like, "Oh my god. This is just exhausting." Like, that is so irrelevant. It has nothing to do with anything. I also an account that we follow and interact with, reality ops, they posted something and they were basically just like, like, I'm not saying that I'm on one side or another, but this is just getting like way out of hand. And like, this, it does seem like basically what we're saying with like him releasing this video, it just seems very weird. Like, they should be letting this stuff play out in court instead of on social media.
yeah.
And I totally feel that exact same way. Like, why is he trying to wage a social media war? Like, I don't understand that.
I know, and it feels back to the initial PR thing where he hired this PR people and everything went down exactly the way they had hoped, and it just feels like they're still doing that.
Yeah, it feels very gross. Like, I just don't like every day it's almost like something new is he's released something else or something new's happened, or we see these paparazzi pictures of him where he's out and smiling, and there were ones
Mhm.
today where he was like at a park with his wife and daughter. It's like, I I'm not trying to be like shady towards him or anything. Like, I know that he has accomplished things in his career, but like, I did not know who he was before this movie. And
Mhm.
I've never seen him in a paparazzi shot before any of this happened. So do not tell me that these are like that he's not calling the paparazzi
Right.
and getting these out on page 6 or Dumois. Like, that's obvious.
I know, and it almost is starting to feel, like, manic.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it's just like, okay, what are we doing now? Like, does anybody still believe in what we were trying to do in the first place? Or is
Yeah,
it like, I might lose court, but at least I won the opinion of,
the
the
public.
people and
Yeah,
yeah.
and for him to sue her for $400 million, where did you even get that figure from? Like, in what universe do you think that Blake Lively
You should be
screwed you out of
awarded that. I know.
$400?
And the movie was a success, right? Like,
Yeah,
it made money.
and he wasn't signed on to have like to be the director or anything for the next film either. Like, regardless of all this, he wasn't going to do it. So I don't like, it was kind of the, and you said that from reading the books that he was kind of in the next one but not.
Yeah, he's in it, but it focuses more on, from what I can remember, Atlas and like her repairing, or Lily repairing her life after what happened.
So I mean, if they made a film, if it sounds like from what you recall, they probably could find a way for him to like not be in it or in it very minimally.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so from what I can remember.
So it's not
Yeah, and
like
it's
he
like
was gonna be a main player in the second one anyway.
right, unless he was just doing the directing, but I know it's just gotten I mean, it's just out of hand, and it's almost making, like, a mockery of just all the main issues at play here.
For me, all I needed to see was her list of complaints and things that had allegedly happened on set, and the fact that she had brought them up prior, like she made formal complaints about it while they were
Right.
filming. They had that was on record. They had a meeting about it. Like, we went through the whole press tour and she didn't say one bad word about him, and that
No.
through that whole time she was being dragged through the mud about, like, everything, basically
I
every
know her
move that
hair, her
she made.
clothes, her
And then we find out that all this stuff was going on behind the scenes, and then she still didn't even file anything until, just a couple how long has it been? Like 2 months? Like, when did she even
I think it was
officially do that?
December, like, right before Christmas, I wanna say, is when she, like, had her complaint go out, right? In the New York
So
Times or
yeah, so
whatever.
it's been, like, a very short amount of time, and we saw that movie in the summer.
Yeah, and she's been quiet that whole time,
Yeah.
and it's like it just
I mean,
it's
and
outta hand.
I don't know, maybe other things will come forward and we'll look like the idiots. I don't know, but it just, like, I think that two things can be true at the same time. Like, yeah, she probably does get a lot of what she wants because she does have pretty privilege. She is a very big known movie star. She's married to a huge powerful movie star. But, like, that still doesn't mean that she can't get mistreated or feel uncomfortable with a certain coworker, like,
Right,
and
it's like not everybody wants to be shown a video of someone giving birth without
yeah,
that person's permission. It's like there's just so many things, on Fluently Forward, she had a, like, lawyer on there that worked a lot with, sexual harassment stuff in the workplace, and they had a really good conversation about it too, but I felt, like, sane because, like, Shannon and this lawyer kinda had, like, the same opinion as us too, where it was like, obviously something was going on here or that
yeah,
wouldn't have started at all.
right, I know, and it's just even, I can't remember, today's Thursday, I can't remember if I posted, I think that was just yesterday that I posted our clip from last week's episode, but it's like immediately, like, the hate that flocked into our comments, like, we literally never get comments on our videos on TikTok. I mean, like, ever. And then I post that clip, and literally our clip was like us talking about how it was concerning with the algorithm and how somebody can control that, not
Yeah, and
even
that is
us. Yeah, and it wasn't even us saying anything like super controversial, but people are flocking there like, it's her fault. She is the one that's wrong here. Can't people see that? She's been proven wrong, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what is going on?
I know, it's literally insane, and then you're like, "Is this bots
Well, and
that were, like, triggered?"
I looked at the accounts, and, like, there was only one of them that I at the time looked at out of, like, I don't know how many comments there were, like 5 from different people at the time, or 6. And there was only one of them where somebody had actually posted, like, real
Their
TikToks
TikToks.
that they had made themselves, and then others were either blank, or they had reposted, like, things, or they had, like, a bunch of, like, TikTok memes, I guess. and there, like I said, only one appeared to be like a living, breathing person that is making their own content. So are
Mhm.
these other accounts even real?
I know it's like, I don't know. Thank you for exposing that, Justin.
Yeah, like I'm gonna think about that all the time now.
I know literally I'm like, I don't know if any of this is real at
I
this
know.
point.
It really, I mean, that truly, like, it's like you knew that those things existed and that it happened
But
and
then
stuff.
to like see people conspiring to do it, like PR
Yeah,
people I like got shook up.
I know, me too.
Especially when we saw it go down the way they wanted it to, whether they were, you know, I mean, even they were like shocked at how well things were
Yeah,
going, which is insane. Like
I
it's
know. Like to just
insane.
see the texts and emails, you're like, oh my God. And what just really, the thing that really shook me was when they, whoever, I don't remember which one it was, but was like, we can bury her. I'm like,
Yes.
and I know I've
And
said
you
this
did.
before, but like that's how you're talking to your
Evil.
clients about another human? Like I
Like
can't
it's
even,
evil.
yeah, it's so evil. Like we can bury her on social media. We'll make her a social pariah. Like what? Like are we in like a freaking 2000s teen dramedy? Like I don't know
Literally, it's
what's
like
going
John Tucker must die, but
on.
Blake Lively must die.
I know. It's just I don't know. And
It's
like I
wild.
literally, like I told you on our TikTok, like I literally went through and on one of them that popped up, I'm like not interested. Like I can't do it
I
anymore.
know. It's so fake, especially when you're not even lingering on it. Like, I know it's being forced because this
Yeah,
isn't the way I feel. So, why am I seeing these?
I
And it's just
know.
everybody regurgitating the same thing
I know.
if they
I
are
just,
real people.
yeah, I it's just troubling. The whole thing is very troubling, but I just wish that they would keep it out of, like, you don't need to be doing this social media war. And like I don't even feel, and maybe this is just bias towards Blake, but like I really don't feel like she's out here keeping the social media portion of it going as far as we know. Like
Right,
she's not releasing a bunch of things to social media, and like it's things that were in her complaint or her lawsuit and stuff that are public record that then get put on
right,
social media. Or like the one thing when her lawyer responded to, was it the video or a text message, and was like, this is an abuser tactic, like trying to spin,
mhm.
the narrative, which it's like it
It
is.
is. I
It
know, like,
literally
that isn't
is.
wrong. I know.
So I don't know.
So, I don't like, I don't expect this ending anytime soon, apparently, unless they can just let it settle out in court. And I know people are even talking about like, will it actually end up getting to court?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where does, I mean, I don't know where Justin goes from here because I don't know where he was going from here, but like where does Blake go from here? Like she has a Simple Flavor 2 that's supposed to be coming out. Obviously that's gonna be probably a couple more months because they're not gonna release that right now.
I know, like, is that gonna tank now because of all this?
Yeah. Like I don't
I
know.
know, though. That's what I was thinking. It's like literally, we're watching them implode. Like, how do we recover? Luckily, I mean, people get over things. I mean, if she's in a good enough movie or if he's in a good enough movie, it might blow over. But it's just like, I mean, it's just so much.
You
I
know.
don't know how you like recover. And maybe that's kind of what this Justin Baldoni is thinking, why he keeps just like, gonna lose everything. So
Yeah.
I might as well just freaking keep on. It's like, I guess I'll give him that. He's a petty Betty, that's for sure.
He's not giving up.
No,
He's
it's like
gonna
he's
go
like, "I'm
down
going down and
flames
you're going
of
down with
yeah,
me."
what a
That's how it feels.
yeah, it does, it does. But the
Right, like
thing the bottom line to me is what we've said for, ages, like, in nothing that he's put out is he trying to dispute her original, complaints,
no,
like,
and it to me, it's
nowhere.
coming across like, "See, she was asking for it,"
Yeah,
type thing. And I'm
like,
like, "I don't
really?
know if that's not working for me, buddy. I'm
Yeah,
sorry." Like,
that's
"See, she
not
wanted it."
oh, and the other thing that I thought was absolutely ridiculous was how he tried to bring in the Deadpool thing. Did you see that?
Yes.
I mean, I never saw that, so, like, I can't
I know, like,
I
the nice pool or
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, I saw,
I'm
like,
like,
that clip, but I never saw the
"See."
movie. But
Yeah,
I'm
like
like,
and he literally saw that from social media that people were saying, "This sounds like him." And it's
well,
like,
and
well,
it's
if the
like
shoe fits, I don't know.
yeah, and you and how many other cringy
Literally, you're such
guys.
a stereotype.
Yeah, like, and that's what they were saying. Brandy and Julie were on Juicy Scoop, and they're like, I mean, I I think it I hate to say this again, but like I don't know who's Brandy and who's Julie because I never watch the videos and I only
I
go for
know.
their voices. But I think it was Julie was like, there were all different kinds of Deadpools. Like they were making fun of every type of stereotype that there is. So like and like that's comedy. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you as somebody who's a
You
comedy writer, you find the real, stereotypes in people and make fun of them. And it's not just one person, it's usually a bunch of people. And he's out there like, "Oh yeah, I'm a male feminist who has a podcast about feminism." Like that alone is something that we should make fun of, you know?
right. Right. And it's just like if you're the Deadpool thing came out, about the same time, but nobody knew any of this stuff about you. Nobody would have put that together until all this comes out. So you're the one who pointed it out.
He's like, "I want them to keep that footage." Did you really think that freaking Disney was going to delete that footage because they thought it could be damning? Like, are you
Right.
joking me? If Disney thought for 1 second that they could be involved in a huge lawsuit, like, they're not taking that risk. It's Disney, for God's sake.
Right.
Like, they're not doing it, bottom line.
I know. Ugh,
And like you don't they say this all the time like on like Law and Order and stuff. They're like these are all like not based on true stories. Any likeness to something in real
right.
life is coincidental. It's like yeah, you're allowed to do that.
I know that's what being creative is, being inspired.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's frustrating to continue to talk about, but it's like how can you not talk about it because we're all so deep into this at this
I
point.
know, and it keeps getting worse and worse.
I know. But I'm not making another social media post about it that unless we are fully vindicated, which I feel that we will be at some point. But I'm just not doing it because I dread to read these people's comments. I just feel like it's so hateful and it doesn't add to any type of conversation. It's just negativity.
I know, and and we even said in the beginning, like maybe they are villains, her and Ryan Reynolds, but that doesn't mean things weren't happening on that set that
Yeah,
were making and not everybody wants to do the whole woo-woo Hollywood in that way where or I guess I shouldn't say Hollywood, but that woo-woo spiritual Justin Baldoni vibe thing. Not
yeah,
everybody wants to do that, and you might have to respect. fact that not everyone is like that and that making some people uncomfortable. It's like it
Yeah.
just I don't know.
Yeah, I it
I
just it's definitely getting ugly. It just keeps getting uglier.
I know. How we're
So
dragging all these other people into it, and
I
it's like, oh,
know everybody's getting drugged through the mud.
I know it's like chill.
I know. And then I saw somebody on TikTok who was like, whatever happened to uh Blake's hairline? Like nobody is hearing anything about that anymore. And I wanted to comment so bad, but I didn't because I'm just like, nobody's gonna like us for it. They're gonna hate us for it. I wanted to be like, both of us use her shampoo and hair mask and mousse, and
Means
we
me
love it.
right. So
They were
shut
like,
it.
yeah, I've seen it at Target and it's always full on the shelves. I'm like, really? Because I've been there when
It's
it
always sold
hasn't
out.
been stocked. Yeah.
Exactly. I know,
So,
it's I
and
can't
like,
even.
let's, not to drag this on even more, but just to go on about like a celebrity endorsed product or celebrity made product. It's like, look at any of them. Do you see freaking Millie Bobby Brown's stuff sold out at Ulta every single time you go? Do you see like other celeb brands sold out every single time you go to buy them?
Right.
No. So like, why are you hating
Except for
on
Skims.
it? Yeah, yeah, except for
It's always sold out 24/7.
never what you need ever. Even if it just dropped, it's already gone. But it's just
I
like,
know.
no,
Not everything every time you go to any store, not sometimes things are sold out, but not that often. Everything's usually restocked, so shut it.
right. And it could be if something is sold out, then that could literally just be like a production thing. It could have nothing to do with the amount of people that are buying it. It could just be, oh, there's the factory's delayed. Like,
Right.
come on, people.
I know.
They just want to pick her apart. It's so dumb. Like, I can't even with that narrative. Like, I'm going to just start freaking blocking people at this point.
I see one more negative thing. I know it's like I'm done. You guys are just hating to hate at this point.
I know. And I just don't like what we've said about, just like our year in general. Like, I just don't want that negativity, even though this clearly is not directly about me or a friend or anything like that. It still is negativity that is like I don't want those types of people to have anything to do with the energy that I am gaining or putting out into this world. Like I just don't want to be I don't want to be consuming that in any way. I don't want to be a part of it. It's just it doesn't feel good.
I know, and at this point I think everybody just needs to let it play out because there's nothing the public can do at this point.
I know. It's just making it more messy.
It
Yeah.
is.
Well, did you have any other closing thoughts here?
I just wanted to say I rewatched Hereditary
Oh,
because
you
it is
did?
streaming. Yeah, I think it's on Net. Is it on Netflix right now?
Was that a tough rewatch?
It was. It was. Well, and then I was just, I know that's like, I don't know, it just made me think about the Tony Collette giving like an incredible performance of a grieving mother who's struggling dealing with her relationship with her son who, accidentally passed away her daughter and like that whole
Spoiler alert if you
dynamic
haven't seen it.
and that whole dynamic of that And just those scene like that scene at the table where
Yeah, a lot of table scenes we're talking about today.
I know, they're so good. They're just so good. But when she's like, you know, "You wouldn't," or he's like, "She didn't even wanna go." He's like, "You can't even look at me," and she's like, "You wouldn't even say sorry. I'm so mad at you, so guess what? I don't forgive you." And then he's like, lets that simmer, and then he's like, "Well, she didn't even wanna go to the party, mom. Like, you made," like, just there's so many good scenes, and it's just so frustrating that things like that, and I know it's a horror movie, don't get the recognition as far as, like, the award show stuff.
Yeah,
Like, and obviously that movie gets wild towards the end and kinda takes away from, like, the drama, because it could almost be a drama movie until
yeah, yeah. Things go
the
yeah.
the other stuff.
Mhm.
But it's just, and I also heard that Ari Aster always starts out writing dramas, but then they turn into horrors, like, they just naturally turn into horrors. But it's
That's
just
funny.
frustrating when, like, that kind of work can't be recognized because of the horror thing. But then I was thinking too, like, just about how, okay, but we're all still talking about, like, every horror movie thing I watch, they're always referencing Hereditary and stuff, so it's
Mhm.
almost like, is that better in a way to, like, "Oh, she didn't get the award, but we're still talking about her performance, we're still talking about that movie."
Yeah.
Because when, Demi Moore was like, "This is my first time ever in however many years of my career that I've never been nominated for a Golden Globe," and you're like, "Wow, that's crazy." But then you're like, "Well, it's just like an accolade that you're," I don't know, like, does it matter or doesn't it matter?
I know. I really I we've been talking about this for a while with like the Grammys and stuff like that
Mhm.
too, but like ever this really made me think like does this matter at all? Like are the is the academy fully just swayed by big production
Funny.
companies or
Yeah.
money. Yeah, because even now for the Golden Globes, and then I don't know if they had it like when they were doing the nominees for the Oscar announcements or not, but like at the Golden Globes, they had that like tracker of like, oh,
Yeah.
Netflix has gotten X amount of awards and
Mhm.
FX got this much. It's like, what are so is that what it is now? Like we're keeping score? Like and that's all that matters? Like I
I
don't
know, or is it right, and then it's like, okay, so if I'm a viewer and I don't have Netflix yet, and I'm like, "Look at all these things that are so awarded,
yeah,
like,
but
they're
I
so
can't.
decorated. Should I get Netflix so I can watch all these incredible
Right.
things?"
Yeah. I
It
know.
just
It just I don't like that.
no, and it's like, how many movies stick with me more, or, like, performances blow me away that aren't nominated and that I still think about, still talk about? Versus some of them, I mean, there's definitely been a lot where it's like, "Holy crap, this was an amazing movie, and this was an amazing performance," but it just, I don't know, it's just that thing, yeah, like that we have been talking about where it's frustrating, but then if you're still being thought of for
Yeah.
your performance, is that almost better? Like, or and then it's like too, do you get paid more when you are more decorated?
I would think yes.
That's what I would
Because
think too, but
because
then you're
you
like, I
always
don't know, because even I know we've talked about this before, but the Jennifer Lawrence, Leonardo DiCaprio for Don't Look Up,
mhm.
where it was like, why does she, I mean, he's been in the business twice as long as her, why should she get paid, I mean, she should get paid equal,
Yeah.
but then you're like, but she's more decorated than he is, so yeah, maybe she should be making more,
Right. I
or
mean,
even more than him at that point if we're gonna do it based on that.
but it is interesting because when if a movie's coming out and if it's something that maybe is like I don't know a little bit unknown or maybe they're just starting the press for it, they'll be like Academy Award winner, blah blah blah, Academy
Right.
Award nominee, blah blah blah, Oscar winner, blah blah blah. Like they'll make sure to give that title with the
Mhm.
actor. And so I
Right.
I would think like it probably does, like they obviously hope that that would boost the popularity of the movie, but I would think it would boost the actor's pay as well. And then because
Mhm.
when you brought up like Leonardo DiCaprio, like he's a prime example of like with all the movies that he has been in that have been unbelievable throughout his career, how did he have to wait so long for a
You know, get
freaking
some
Oscar?
I know, which arguably isn't even his best performance, although very good.
Yeah, it's like it's that is insane.
I know it is wild. There's another point I was gonna bring up about that, now I lost it.
About Leo or just in general?
I think it did, but anyway. I know it's just fascinating where I just don't know, it just got me thinking again about that.
I know, same.
Oh,
And
what I was gonna say, it's like, well, we have like an Adam Sandler who has, no Oscars, but he probably brings more people to the movie theater, or you put him in a movie, he's gonna bring a ton more money than if you get like, I don't even know, a Brendan Fraser, who
yeah,
just, had recently gotten or won. It's like, well, who's gonna make more money in the movie? It's
yeah,
like,
Adam Sandler. Yeah,
I know, but so he gets this like great pay because he brings the money in, but he's not decorated. But somebody who's decorated doesn't necessarily, as in maybe like smaller movies, still is getting like that same
yeah.
pay.
Yeah, I don't it's just too like that to me shouldn't be the motivation behind movies or people getting nominated for things like that. Like, you're supposed to be nominated because you did extraordinary work in your field, you know? And like,
Right,
when it gets all muddied up with like back alley deals and stuff like that, it just feels so like it already is frivolous. Like we're watching these
right.
out of touch celebrities get all dressed up and we're watching them from our freaking
Their little
couches.
man
You know,
statue.
yeah, it's like it already is dumb. But then when you take away like the real meaning of it, like I remember a couple years ago when we were talking about like the Grammys and stuff and how the weekend wasn't nominated and he was basically like, I don't care about the Grammys. Like, that means
I know he goes,
literally
fine, I'm
nothing.
not gonna right. He's like, fine, I'm not gonna show up. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna and here we have found out you had to submit yourself,
right.
which was the even crazier part of it all.
I know. And I did not know that.
I know, because if that were me, I'd be like, sure, why not? I might not get anything, but hey, I'll put myself in the running.
You never know
And
if you want
even
to
on
in there.
was it The Town was saying like how many thousands of people vote on this
Yeah.
was insane. I'm like, what in the world is
I was like,
happening?
how
And then
many
when people get mad that I think they were using Beck as an example. It's like when he wins, it's like they're the ones voting.
with this stuff too, like imagine if we had voting rights. You know that you and I would be like, hey, who did you vote for? Like we would totally be talking to each other about that. And then, like,
Right,
if there was something where, like, I was on the fence and you were like, oh no, like they were so good or whatever, I'd be like, okay, I'll vote for it. Like I would
right.
totally do that. So, how many other people in the industry do that exact same
No,
thing?
I'm gonna vote for my friend, or I'm gonna
Yeah,
vote for my same record label because it makes us all look better.
right. I know. I don't know. Like, once I've said this line a million times about stuff too, but once like the curtain is pulled back, it just feels so pointless, you know?
I know, and just so businessy, and it's
Yeah,
like, no, I miss the art part of it.
I know. I mean, do people like obviously like Demi Moore seems to care, and Ariana Grande is like her spirit is still floating up above her body because she cares so much. But like, do a lot of people, like actors, musicians, do they genuinely care about this anymore? Like, does it hold the same weight that it used to? Like, I don't know.
Mhm. I know. Well, and yeah, I don't know either. It's fascinating.
I know it really is. And then, like, when you said about the town, it's like, this is like, I love listening to their episodes around award season because just the insight that they have about things is so fascinating. Like, I love it
I
so.
know. I know. I do think it's interesting just to hear like the big players and stuff, like
Yeah.
questioning them or what are they doing or what the big flops. It's like, how do I know they're like more in the industry, like some of these podcasts, but how do they get the information? I'm like,
I
I feel
don't
like I'd have
know.
to be scouring the internet to get any of who these people are.
I know, or like the numbers that they'll get too,
Yes.
and they have them obviously like, since they are insiders, I think that they have more access to things or earlier access maybe. But still, I mean, it's a lot of data to go through and everything, and it's not like they
Hmm.
just have one website where everything is. Like it's still they have, and sometimes they're even like, "Oh, I reached out to somebody I know at, whatever," and
Another
they
studio. I know, and, too, it's like I know what a lot of the upcoming horror movies that are coming out are because I watch these YouTubers, but I don't have any YouTubers that do the general movies, and when they were talking about what they thought were gonna be, like, the top movies of the year, I was like, "I don't even know what's coming out except for, like I said, horror, but then also, like, a couple like, I knew the Lilo and Stitch and Snow
yeah,
White, like, some of the kids and Minecraft, obviously." But, like, some of the movies, I don't know what's coming out.
yeah, I know.
Just, like, the
That's where
general regular movies. I'm like, "What am I even excited to see this year other than" like, I'll probably wanna see Wicked,
yeah, the
that
second
one, and
one.
then there's
I know.
there's
But it comes down to what we said before. Like, I just don't feel the same excitement for it as I used to. I don't know if that's because like we're just not going to the theaters as much as we have in the past. The streaming stuff has changed it. Like, I don't know. Is it the way that things are marketed? Yeah, I don't know. But like a few years ago, like I used to, like my cousin would look at the new trailers that dropped every week.
Yeah,
We'd like literally watch them together on YouTube. I don't
I
even know the last
know.
time they did that.
I know, I remember doing that too, just being on YouTube and trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer, and you might never have seen those movies, but you still were watching the trailers, we knew what was coming out, we knew
Yeah.
who was gonna be in them. Yeah, we don't get any of that, and I heard that, Timothée Chalamet was gonna be in a movie that's like Wolf of Wall Street, Catch Me If You Can-esque, but I
Oh,
don't know when that's coming out, if that's supposed to be this year or if he's even filmed it yet or what is going on.
damn, he's a busy guy.
I know. I know,
He
right?
won't stop.
I know. Well, he's our new guy.
I know. I mean,
He's our only one of our only A-listers, our real movie
I
stars.
know he really does feel like it. You
I
know,
know.
he has the vibe.
Yes.
Well, should we wrap her up?
Sure.
I just wanted to recommend a real pain. I don't know if you already recommended that when you watched it. I can't remember, but I just really, really liked it. And since it's on Hulu now, it is more
Very
accessible.
accessible.
Yep.
I am going to recommend watching a silent film like Nosferatu. It
Mm.
was a fun experience, and it was cool too just to see the way they embodied the emotion, and it was, like, a little theatrical, but, like, it wasn't that theatrical either. It was very like, it just was really good, and it's just crazy how far we've come in the last 100 years.
No kidding. That is so true. And to watch how you watched both of them, I mean, not fully back to back, but within
But
a short
basically,
time span, like that must have been really cool to see.
it was a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening if you made it this far.
Mhm.
And make sure to check us out on our socials. TikTok was only banned for like, I don't even know, less than 12 hours. So you still can find us on there for now, at
Wow.
least.
Yes.
Uh, and Instagram. Don't forget that we're on YouTube. And then anywhere that you listen to your podcasts, you can find us there. Leave us a nice rating and review, please. That would be amazing, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that's where we seem to get the most 1 star for some reason. So, but thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.